Why is it Labour's moral duty, in the words of some of that party's MPs, to force the sick into work they can't do? Prime Minister Keir Starmer seems to have been the worst of the lot, judging by the BBC's report. He said the benefits system was the worst of all possible worlds, which is actually pretty close to the truth, but for the wrong reason. He went on to say that the system discourages people from working, which is a crock. People with long-term illnesses and disabled people who aren't working would love to work, simply to get out of the system that treats them like liars every day of their lives, subjects them to assessment after pointless reassessment, and tries to catch them out in anything that looks like a lie in every answer they give. For sick and disabled people, the benefits system is nothing but constant psychological warfare. If Starmer is as good a lawyer as he is supposed to be, he'll know this. So it's my educated opinion that Keir Starmer is lying about this. Moving on, it seems the Get Britain working group of 36 Labour MPs seems to have taken their name too seriously, saying the government has a moral duty, there it is, to help long-term sick and disabled people to work if they can. Who decides whether a sick and/or disabled person can work? The assessors who are paid to find ways to say they are perfectly healthy malingerers? The MPs who have an ideological bias towards cutting the amount of money being spent keeping these people alive? Or, well, we know it isn't any doctor. Medical evidence was cut out of this process in the days of Mansell Aylward. If you don't know who Aylward was, he was a senior civil servant who colluded with a criminal US insurance firm, Unum Provident, to move assessment of sickness and disability benefit claims away from medical evidence and onto a mumbo-jumbo method called the biopsychosocial model. The assertion was that every claimant's illness was all in their mind. It led to any number of abuses, including, if I recall correctly, hounding an amputee regularly to see if their limbs had grown back. Inevitably, Politics Live had something to say about it. Here are journalists Joe Coburn, Xin Zheng and Ian Dale.
The package, we're told it's reported, would impose £5 billion of cuts and require the long-term sick to prepare for work. But the words that he used, Keir Starmer, it's indefensible, it's unfair. I think the group of MPs, Labour MPs who are in favour, like Peter, of doing something about the welfare bill, so there's a moral duty to get young people off welfare. Do you agree?
This kind of idea, and I really worry that it plays into a stereotype of young people being somehow work shy or not wanting to work or not being able to work. I think what the Labour government needs to do is to stop using kind of divisive language like this to try and pose it as a moral duty, because if you look at the language around this idea of working people being the people who deserve to be paid better, you know, the implication is that non-working people don't deserve that same respect, care and attention. And if you speak to young people who have been out of work, who aren't able to get the training or skills that they need, it is respect, care and attention that they deserve.
1.2 million people, younger people, are not in employment, training or education. Well, why is that? Now, a proportion, and I agree with you, not all of them are work shy, but a proportion of them will find it easier to stay in the benefits system than look for work. And something has got to be done about that.
Is that the moral duty these MPs mean? The report says they have told Work and Pensions Secretary Liz Kendall the government faces hard choices. Would these be the kind of choices Commons Speaker Lindsay Hoyle has been facing on his many recent foreign trips that have cost the public purse £180,000, according to the Daily Mail, and provided no benefit whatsoever to the country in return? I wonder what we would find if we examined the expenses bills of each of these Labour MPs. How many times would an average annual sickness or disability benefit payment fit into these expenses claims? And they preach to the country about hard choices. The simple fact is, picking on people who cannot defend themselves has always been the easiest choice of all, especially for those who live in comfort and never have to live through the consequences of their decisions that affect other people. A hard choice might have involved taxing the very rich. As has been said many times in the past, a simple 1% tax on their assets would bring in many times the £6 billion that the government wants, which includes the £5 billion which is intended to come from sickness and disability benefit bills. There is a way to get that benefit bill down, of course. It is to prevent people from becoming ill, to stop them from falling prey to disability. That would require the planning of a health service that genuinely works for the benefit of the patient, rather than to enrich private companies company shareholders and employment laws that ensure the dignity and comfort of all employees. One would have thought the Labour Party, and therefore a Labour government, would stand foursquare in favour of such things, but the world is full of surprises, isn't it? As for Starmer, I think I've finally worked out why he speaks in such a strange, clipped manner. There seems to be something blocking his nose. It might even be something he has inserted himself. Otherwise, he might be able to smell what he's shoveling. That's all I have for you for now. Please like, comment and subscribe, and you can hear me in the next one.